I want to ask you about little boys. Boys and men are under attack, and especially boys. They are now given medication for something called ADD. Is that a right approach to deal with boys?
Yeah, so that's also a very interesting question. A lot of children can have symptoms that look like ADHD because they're going through other stuff, like trauma or whatever. So they're like hyperactive or having trouble focusing, and it could be a number of other things. But sometimes there's a percentage of people who do have this, it's a kind of an innate ADHD, and we see it in families, like their parents, one of their parents might have had it. And it makes it hard to, I have an interesting viewpoint because I don't think it's natural for us to sit in a classroom for 8 hours a day and not move. I mean, we're asking a lot from children to do that to begin with, and then, if a teacher gets tired of a child wanting to like jump around a little bit, that's more unnatural. So, my philosophy is I'm actually very conservative on medication, like prescribing medication. I like to do everything else besides that if we can, and then, not have that as part of the picture.
Amazing.
So if that means like sometimes giving a child like one of those exercise balls in the classroom to bounce around on, or getting up and giving them breaks every 15 minutes or something like that.
Nice.
Those are better. And a lot of children benefit from individual attention. So it doesn't all need to be like treated with medication.
I'm glad to hear that. Experts warn that over 90% of the school shooters were on that medication, and they accused them of having some type of depression or ADD, and 90% of the school shooters was on medication. Do you believe had they not been on medication and done it the way you said, another way, without the medication, we would have had that higher percentage carrying out school shooting?
And it's hard to tell. I think sometimes people are not on medication and they're also committing suicide.
Right.
That's a tricky question in the sense that, look, medication isn't perfect. All meds have side effects. We don't know, people respond differently to different medications. But until we find a way to figure this out.
Go natural, the way you mentioned earlier, without that.
But, yes, except that some people are really suffering. Like, I have patients who have like schizophrenia or bipolar disorder, and if they were not on any medicine, they are like, sometimes when you see people on the street talking to themselves, or they don't seem like they're all cognitively with it, then they can't function. So sometimes, and I don't like those meds because they have so many side effects, and I don't like putting people on it, but for some of my patients, it's either one bad thing with some side effects, or they're the illness that is organic and just happens.
I've noticed that most of the people who are talking to themselves, they are angry, and 99.999, but not all the time, 99.999% of the time, it starts in the homes, and so they're angry about imperfect parents. Something happened in the home, and so they're spiritually talking to themselves. And so if you get them to forgive, go and let the anger go, then they come back to a normal thinking and normal being. It's just that they're angry and no one dealt with the anger, it just gets worse. It causes you to talk to yourself and do crazy things. It's not necessarily a medical or physical issue. It's more of a spiritual problem.
Okay.
Have you noticed that?
I think that can be true. Of course, I see a portion of the population. I see more people who are severely ill that end up coming to the doctor, right?
Right, yeah.
So there may be a lot of people who you're talking about who I don't see as a doctor.